So guys, in this next news story, a group of teenagers who accidentally stabbed one of their own gang members to death as they murdered another boy during a ride out have been jailed. Charlie Bartolo, who's 16, was rammed off his motorbike by a car before 5 killers jumped out and stabbed him repeatedly in Abbey Wood in southeast London on November the 26th, 2022. At the time of the brutal killings, it was thought they were not connected, but it turns out one of the attackers, a 16-year-old Kearne Solanke, was accidentally knifed in the shoulder by his friend as they set upon Charlie. Mr. Solanke, known as Havoc, got back into the car with his accomplices who drove a mile away to Thamesmead, where they dumped the car and their friend, leaving him to die of his injuries. The two 16-year-olds were reported dead in separate 999 calls within 6 minutes of each other. The killers were members of the Thamesmead T-Block gang involved in a postcode feud with rivals from Abbey Wood. Aljay Joby and Hussein Bar, who are both 19, and two teenagers aged 17 and 16 denied, but were convicted of murdering both boys. The 17-year-old accepted that he had been driving the Nissan on the day of the murder, but he insisted he knew nothing about the impact with Charlie's bike until his friends told him about it. Bar, who was still in bed when he was arrested, said, "I was not even there." All 4 teenagers were found guilty on Monday. So the prosecutor, Bill Emlyn Jones KC, told how the emergency services were called to Sewell Road at around 5 o'clock in the afternoon after Charlie was attacked. Charlie was found to have suffered multiple stab wounds, including a large stab wound to his head. He was taken from the scene to Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Woolwich, but despite the best efforts of emergency medical staff, Charlie died from his injuries at around 6:30 in the evening. I just want to say rest in peace and my condolences go out to your family. At around 5:10, so just 6 minutes after the 999 call had been made in respect to Charlie Bartolo, another 999 call was made and another ambulance was requested. This time, it was a call to attend Titmus Avenue in Thamesmead, only about 1 mile away from where Charlie had been found. On the second 999 call, the caller said that a 16-year-old boy had been stabbed and was bleeding heavily. The 16-year-old boy was named as Kearne Solanke, may he rest in peace. Mr. Solanke had been stabbed in the shoulder, causing a deep wound so serious that there wasn't even time to get him to hospital. A witness had told the court she was at home when she heard shouting and a girl screaming and ran to find Mr. Solanke bleeding. She said, "He was trying to get up. With all my might, I tried to push him down, trying to stem the bleeding. In the end, he just gave in and lay there." She added that when she and another neighbour examined the wound, they found it was 2 inches downwards. Asked if Kearne said anything to her, Mr. Brooks replied, "Yes, he did. It's okay, Mum. I'll be okay." The witness also stated, "I think he thought I was his mum. I was saying to stay with us and talk to me." The prosecutor said although the 2 victims were found a mile apart, the police investigation had revealed that both of them were stabbed during the same incident in the same place at the same time. CCTV showed a motorbike being deliberately rammed off the road by a car and the bike gang being thrown into the air and landing in a heap of the pavement. It was very obvious it was a deliberate collision caused by the driver of the car. The rider of the moped was Charlie Bartolo. No sooner had the car hit him and knocked him off his bike, the car stopped next to him and its occupants all got out. 3 of them attacked Charlie Bartolo as he lay on the ground. The CCTV showed that all 3 of them used large knives to stab and strike Charlie as he lay helpless on the ground. The 2 who got out the driver's side did not physically participate in the violence, although it looks as though the driver was armed with yet another knife and then moved around the front of the car as if to go and join in. It turned out he wasn't needed. The 3 on the passenger side had already done what the group set out to do. So that accounts for the brutal killing of Charlie Bartolo. But what about the second victim? Well, the dreadful truth is that Kearne Solanke was one of Charlie's murderers. The 5 people in the car responsible for the murder of Charlie Bartolo were, the prosecution say, Kearne Solanke and these 3 defendants. Kearne was one of the 3 who jumped out of the passenger side of the car and attacked Charlie. But during the violence, one of his own team, in fact it was the 16-year-old, during their joint attack on Charlie, he stabbed his own friend. There's no reason to think he had planned to stab Kearne, but in the confusion and the chaos of the moment, no doubt, I'm afraid in the excitement, his knife found the wrong target. So the CCTV will show you that Kearne got back into the car with the rest of them and they all drove away. But given the nature of the injury Kearne had suffered, it cannot have been long before they all realised what had happened and that something was dreadfully wrong with Kearne sitting in the back of the car as they drove away from the scene of what must have first have thought that they'd got their target successfully, Charlie Bartolo, their victim. Prosecutor said the killers drove back to a safe territory, abandoned the car and dumped Kearne there. The 17-year-old got out of the car and went back to him. In a 999 call played in court, he said, "Someone's been stabbed, bro. Please hurry up. Ambulance, we don't need police, please. He's losing a lot of blood. He's struggling to breathe. Please, please, quick. He's losing a lot of blood from his shoulder. He's breathing, but he's losing a lot of blood. His name is Kearne. He's breathing. He's all right. He's just got an open wound." He said, "You're good, boy. You're good. Just don't think about it. You have to keep your eyes open. I'm telling you, bro, on my mum's life. Stay with me, please." The man on the phone told the operator, "He didn't say what happened. I've just seen him on the floor. He's a friend of mine. We didn't see anything. We just saw him on the side of the road. We just bumped into him. I think it's a stab wound." The 17-year-old then went to a nearby youth club where he was seen on CCTV reenacting the murder. He was seen talking to another boy, making stabbing and slashing motions and pointing to his head. The 17-year-old later admitted to police he had a problem. He had beef with Abbey Wood. And that, he said, "I'm afraid to tell you, is the depressingly petty reason for these killings that arose from a sort of postcode rivalry between Abbey Wood and neighbouring Thamesmead. The killers drove to enemy territory in Abbey Wood, armed to the teeth with large knives, looking for a victim, and found Charlie." He said CCTV showed once he had been knocked off his bike, he stood no chance, and the defendants wasted no time in jumping out, knives already drawn, to complete the attack. The whole thing takes less than a minute. Jurors were then shown CCTV footage of the car hitting the motorbike head-on before the attackers jumped out and repeatedly stabbed Charlie as he fell around the pavement. The Nissan Qashqai had previously been stolen in Erith the previous day. There was a video found on Kearne's phone of him filming himself vaping in the back of the car about 25 minutes before the stabbing. Jurors saw CCTV of the attackers earlier in the day going to Thamesmead Post Office and meeting in the park. The footage showed the clothing each boy was wearing, and their faces cannot be seen in the footage of the attack. Detective Chief Inspector Kate Blackburn said, "My team of detectives worked relentlessly to identify the group's movements across South East London on the day of the murders. Even though some of the CCTV did not pick up their faces, my officers worked incredibly hard to identify them via their clothing, including trousers and footwear. This was crucial in placing them together before and after the attack on Charlie." He said, "I'm glad that all 4 defendants have been found guilty. It was an unusual case in that the murder of Kearne was obviously not what the group had set out to achieve. However, we successfully proved that the group, in the course of their joint attack, intended to cause death or at least really serious injury, and one of their members was sadly an inadvertent victim of them. This case demonstrates the utter devastation caused by knife crime on people who arm themselves with large knives, not only risk killing those as they see enemies, but also people they consider their friends. Our thoughts are with both of the family members that have lost loved ones." So, Algai Joby, Hussein Bar, a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old, all convicted of 2 counts of murder, and they're going to be sentenced on February the 23rd. Guys, there's a new story coming out from the streets of the UK. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.